buried treasure this week that you may have played not too long ago. This one was out at the end of 2001, beginning of 2002. It's called Command & Conquer Renegade, and the deal with this one is that it's a first-person shooter in the world of Command & Conquer. So it really gave you a first-hand look at all the buildings and all the vehicles and all these different elements that you'd seen in the Command & Conquer real-time strategy games. Now you could walk right up into them. You could run into the buildings, you could run into the vehicles, you could shoot stuff out of the sky. Lots of really nice sort of tactical style missions that you had to accomplish. All kinds of vehicles that you could take control of, which is really cool. The graphics were pretty flashy. Now, I can see that there were some AI problems. The bad guys aren't that smart in this game, and I definitely think there are better first-person shooter games out there, but it doesn't take for granted that you've played and beaten every other first-person shooter game on the market. It's not that tough. It's kind of like an arcadey recreation of that first-person shooter type experience. So the objectives are nice and clear on the screen. The challenge does come as you progress through the game, but the first few levels, you know, it's just run and gun and fun. So if you played every other first-person shooter game on the market and you're a fan of Command & Conquer, you got to check out Command & Conquer Renegade. It's definitely a buried treasure. All right, we're back. We're going to talk now about Whiteout for the Xbox. This one's from Vicarious Visions and Konami.
Sure is.
What'd you think of this one, man?
Well, they should have used a lot of Whiteout in the game design, Doc, because this one isn't that great.
Well, I love snowmobiles, and I think that they've done some cool snowmobile games in the past.
The best snowmobile game ever done was the original Sled Storm on the PlayStation 1.
I agree.
And then SSX Tricky came out. And everybody now is trying to copy that, and it's a shame. Yeah. One of the biggest problems with this game is the artificial intelligence or the AI
they just take off.
All of the other characters, the computer-controlled players you play against. Yeah. They just take off, and they're just like miles ahead of you, right?
They find all the shortcuts before you, too.
Every single shortcut they take, and especially if you're lucky enough to actually get in the lead, it doesn't matter because they take all the shortcuts. So you pretty much have to take every single shortcut to even be a threat in this game.
You also have to cut them off like crazy. I was impressed by the shortcuts in the game. I thought there was some really clever stuff, some nice scripted destructive
they were long. They should call them long cuts, actually. Yeah. I mean, it was a shorter distance, but they're actually pretty long.
Yeah,
which
the courses themselves are actually pretty lengthy.
Yeah.
The environments in the game are actually quite cool. That you go to Nova Scotia, which is kind of interesting. Never raced in Nova Scotia before.
Well, when's the last time you visited Wyoming in a video game?
Welcome to today's cross-country event set against the majestic backdrop of Jackson Ridge, Wyoming.
That's very cool.
Sending out props to my peeps in Y.
That's right. That's right. Your peeps in Y.
Yeah.
All right. That's the quote of the show.
Yeah.
I like the snow effects as well as you're blasting over the hills and all that stuff.
One of the problems I had, though, again, it's just the simple stuff that, you know, like, for example, you can see the players' tracks in the snow.
Yeah.
But they disappear by the time you get to them.
It
looks really strange.
Some glitches. We're talking about this thing on the Xbox, and the Xbox is capable of some really amazing visuals. This has some nice little bits. It's very crystal clear, but the character models don't look that defined, and there are sort of disappearing things like that that just sort of bug you a little bit.
Now they got your typical hard rock, heavy metal type soundtrack thing, and the problem with this is, and again, this is basic stuff. When you go into a level, it only plays one licensed song, and it will loop it, just keep looping that one song over and over. In the level, they also didn't allow you to use your own soundtracks, you know, to put them in, which many Xbox games do now, especially games like this.
What'd you think of Whiteout then?
I'm giving it a 5.5.
I'm going to give it a little bit more than that. I like these extreme racing games, but I did want more out of this. 6 out of 10. On the positive side, the game features a bunch of interesting track choices. There are lots of cool shortcuts in the game, and the control of the snowmobiles is actually pretty good.
On the negative side, the audio wasn't very well done. There are a few graphical glitches in the game, but the most annoying thing is that the artificial intelligence on the computer-controlled players doesn't give you a chance.
Today on Judgment Day, we took a look at Battle Engine Aquila for the Xbox. This is an original and cool-looking mech game, but the missions are a little bit on the short side. On the GameCube, we looked at NASCAR Dirt to Daytona. This is a great NASCAR game with a healthy serving of extras, but you gotta remember, you have to like racing around oval tracks. On the PlayStation 2, we looked at Disaster Report. Now, this is the first earthquake survival adventure game we've ever played, but it's got sloppy cameras and way too many health power-ups. On the Xbox, we looked at Whiteout. This is a decent-looking snowmobile game. However, this is another extreme sports game with wacky characters, stunts, and repetitive music. Sound familiar? In hardware, we looked at Mad Cat's Universal RF adapter. This is a terrific and inexpensive all-in-one solution for gamers that are forced to play on TVs with crappy video inputs. On the Game Boy Advance, I reviewed Godzilla Domination. This is a good-looking but extremely basic monster fighting game with only 6 monsters to choose from. Skip this one.
Well, that's it for this show. Thanks for watching Judgment Day. We'll see you guys next time. Does Vin Diesel know you're wearing his coat?